Stream's on. Awesome. Alright, guys, this is Wednesday. This is the last day of the week that I do a stream. It's been a good week. We did gestures Monday, and then we did. Oh. Probably no sound, or maybe shitty sound. Let me put on these headphones at least. That'll help. It should help. There we go. Anyway, Monday we did gestures, and then today Tuesday we did head studies, and today I think we'll do more head studies. When the gestures are good, and I enjoy, maybe split it up, maybe do a little bit of both. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to set up the chat while I think about this. Hopefully that's good. I heard yesterday that the chat window was broken or something. So that's never good. There we go. At least it's not broken. Yeah, yesterday there was a broken problem with the chat. Do not know what was going on there. Okay, so what was I going to do? Oh yeah, got to pull up the iPad again. Man, I think it's because it's trying to download something right now to install on the iPad. Give me a second. Yo, what's going on, Uncle Zed? Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about. So Uncle Zed, he contacted me not long ago, but had a question. And once we get started, I'll explain it. But just want to give a heads up. And then we'll get started here in a second. Once my iPad figures out what it's doing, let me check iTunes, because a lot of times they try to download stuff. It's unlocked, and that should have no trouble right now connecting, but sometimes there's always a little bit of trouble. There's my big face. Maybe I can restart QuickTime. It's gonna be really weird if I lose my iPad right now. Yeah, sure, man. I don't mind, especially since I can't even get my iPad up. It'd be nice if I can get it up and running, because then I could even, talk about it. But yeah, send it over. I don't mind. Where? Oh, okay. Again, I don't know why it's not pulling this up for me. I'm gonna try to reconnect here. Let's see. Okay, I see it on Instagram. I don't know why it's requiring me to update, but I have to update my iPad first. So in the meantime, I'm going to look at your art Uncle Zed, and yeah, we'll talk about it. I won't be able to do anything visually or anything, but I will do this while my iPad is rebooting. Okay. All right. Instagram. All right. See, am I able to swipe through these or what? No. Okay, let me get the music going too first. That way there's some background noise. Always need some noise. Always. Any kind of noise. I always put on, my go-to is Hyperlight Drifter because I don't get hit with copyright when I play that. Cool. Awesome. Criticisms are where it's at. So you're wise to ask for some, not necessarily from me, but from anyone, and you want to get a good, um, and just as I'm giving critiques um, to you, I would suggest I don't know if you do this already, but I would give critiques to other people that maybe have less skill than you do, and that kind of helps you understand things by teaching. And so you want to kind of do both: ask and receive, and then give out your um, results as well. All right, so cool. You've got some cool sketches, and they're pretty tight for the most part. Venom's a little bit looser, it looks like. So your question's on line weight. So let me read the question. The question is, let's talk about achieving dynamic line weight and rendering. Say that whenever I go into either of those two, my line weight and rendering feel pretty stiff and lifeless. I really want to know the right method to approach it, or in approaching it, or to approaching it. All right. Either way, so with your drawings, let me look at them real quick and give you like my thoughts on that area plus line weight in general. So you're using like hard, a lot of like what we call spot blacks, where there's a lot of black obviously because you're rendering shadow to be inked as total black. So those areas will naturally give you a hard and heavy line. So in some ways you do have a little bit of line weight in these. And even on the Daredevil, you have like a very thin line at the top and not even completing the silhouette, which is good. That's the same thing. I was saying last night on stream, I was talking about how penciling is a lot of nuance, and I don't think your issue is probably line weight. I think it's just nuance, and that just comes with time. Um, and so, because your rendering style is very, oh, I just liked it. I'm gonna install this on my iPad. Okay, so um, I think just like everyone else, starting out, me included, like we like to focus on the rendering. Um, but what really keeps everything going is the foundation of things. Like the horns on Daredevil are a little flat because um, of a couple reasons. Uh, one, because they're kind of they have this really weird tangent, and two, it seems that if you really were looking at horns in that perspective, it would be a little bit different. But I like your fine line on your rendering. Like you definitely give like a nice feathered line, which is nice. Um, with these, it's hard to tell uh, how bad or good your line weight is because, and it's hard to zoom in on these. So the way line weight really is supposed to work, and now I'm not talking just about your drawings, but in general, line weights are just ways to imply that there's a shadow and a light side to an object. So the best way to get good at that is to first, um, first and foremost, like not use an object that has a lot of shadow on it, or just render it without shadow, and just try to experiment and see how much you can get with just your line weight. So say you draw a sphere or some guy's head, don't put any shadows in that kind of disconnect, or rather turn the shape. So don't leave out the blacks, and just try to use line weight to show the shadow and light side. So the way a lot of people do it, like even David Finch even points out that on the dark side you want a darker line weight. So um, you can see me in the frame here, and the light's coming this way at my head, right? So on this side of my face where it's darker, this is the contour that you would give a heavier line weight. And anytime the shape starts turning toward the light, start going less and less and less, just like you did with the Daredevil head. On the top, you didn't even have a complete line. And then it just comes down to what I talked about yesterday, which is nuance and finesse. And that just comes with time. You'll get to feel out how you like your lines. Maybe like Joe Mad goes really crazy with his variational line weight, which makes it super dynamic and animated. It's almost animated seeming, and which is pretty cool. And everybody's got their own thing. Some people use, a lot of times I won't use a solid black line for line weight. So this kind of gets into something slightly different. But instead of using a solid, darker, thicker line weight on the shadow side, I will use maybe two lines that are parallel to each other, that don't really connect. They just kind of halo it a little bit. Hey, Charlie, what's up? So instead of using that thick line weight, I'll do a double line. And I see that done by a lot of different artists. I feel like the guys at Aspen, that Michael Turner style, do that a lot for a lot of hard surface and even organic stuff. I see it done with clouds. It's pretty much to give this kind of feel of still a shadow and light side to an object, but without a really concrete feel to it. Oh, I think I'm restarted already. Nice. Awesome. So let's see if I can boot up the iPad. All right. Trying to think of any other cool ways to demonstrate that just verbally. So I would practice, like I said, drawing something without hard black shadows and just try to use the contours with heavy line weights to see what you can get. Another cool way to study, which I steal from Noah Bradley and his advice on how to get better, is to kind of split your drawings up, or your studies and your drawing time, into thirds, where 1/3 is drawing from life, which is drawn from pictures, and kind of like what you did with he had like the sun face, Uncle Zed. He had like the sun face and just had like an anatomy study. Perfect. I'm sure maybe you looked at some reference there, potentially. So you want to do some drawings from life, and then another third you want to draw from masters. And for comic people, masters are, you want to go back to, the greats, all the ones that you respect, Byrne, Miller, Kirby, if you want to go that far back. But even modern day, if you like Finch or Lee or McFarlane, any of those guys, they know what they're doing because of doing it for so long. So seeing and copying how they do line weights is going to give you a strong kind of foundation on where to start. You might not do what they do all the time in the end, but why are you still not showing up my iPad? Let's see. Let me see if it's synced or whatever they're going to say here. All right. The iPad's in. I'm going to restart QuickTime one last time, and hopefully it works. I don't want to have to jump onto my drawing desk. I mean, I could, but actually I don't even have to. I could lean the camera over here, and there might be enough light. We'd have to test it out. All right, QuickTime. So yeah, and the last third is drawing from imagination. What is going on? Everything is updated. It should be able to connect. I'm not sure exactly why it's not connecting. It should show up. I'm going to check Bluetooth here. Well, this is a bummer. I usually have this ready to roll. We can try to do them traditionally, potentially. Man, it really blows. This is not working today. It just automatically, the minute I started the stream, it came up with the excuse that I needed to update my iPad. It couldn't connect until I did. So that's a bummer. All right, I heard it beep, so maybe you can try. This is my last test, I promise. If it doesn't work, I'm going to use my traditional methods. You little bugger. Okay, so it's still trying to sync. So when it's done syncing, I'll try it one more time. All right, so I think that's a good explanation for what you should do. What I do is I also have, so if I'm doing master studies, like for us, for comic artists and people with those ambitions, you don't always want to just study comic artists, but it's a good way to go. I would say study from their raw, like if you're wanting to be a penciler and you want to study pencils, especially if you want to have that nuance of the pencil work, I would highly suggest you go get like Unwrapped books that, DC. I'm pretty sure Marvel has the same thing, where they're just the pencil work, or you can just look it up online and then do studies. I've done several like that. If you go back to the very beginning of these, go back to the very beginning of when I started this stream, and I've done some Jim Lee studies, and I did some Cy studies, and I pretty much go through the process of what I'm talking about. All right, like I said, it's done syncing, so I'm going to try it one more time. I promise after this I'm going to pull the camera around if it doesn't work. No clue why it wouldn't work though. Doesn't make sense. Don't get it. I'll have to troubleshoot it later, guys. But let me swing this camera around. Try to face it at my desk. All right. Camera's here. All right. Let me just grab my notebook. Or sketchbook, rather. All right. We're going to switch up the stream here. Do I have standby stream? Is mic working? Let me see. Okay. The mic's on now. There we go. Hopefully that works. Okay, so these are the head studies that I'm going to do later on, but first we're going to do some gestures. We'll go through here. I'm going to do gestures. I'm going to just grab a couple pages and we'll do gestures on these. I don't like doing gestures in the brown because I like to utilize the brown tone paper and not waste it. So, okay. So, all right. I might have to turn off the autofocus on this camera. Give me 1 second. All right, autofocus. Okay. There we go. It's a little better, right? Cool. Does this sound all right, Uncle Zed, or whoever's listening? Let me know if the sound's like totally whack. I'm just gonna use the back side, the cardboard end of this sketchbook. Stick it here. Okay. We're just gonna do some gestures to start out. I'm gonna use pen because I think it's my favorite way to do gestures because you have to commit. All right, sweet. Let me just go to, I use, like I said, Bodies in Motion